Hello, everybody. This is Football Psych, and I am Coach Mike.
And Large Sarge.
All right, man. For all those who get ready to dial on here and get ready to go with us, we are so excited. It's the off season, and we are undefeated so far in the off season. That's the time I like to do. And for those of you who are coming on, just make sure you participate. This is a participation sport. Large Sarge, if you can put that in the comment section, we want everybody to place their comments in the comment section. We want to hear from you. Tell us who you are. Say, hey, Jack's here. Hey, Jim's here. Hey, Bob's here. Whoever the case may be, we want to hear from you because, hey, you can watch any other show, but this one's about participating.
Yep.
All right. So we've got so much we want to kind of cover tonight. We want to go into this Commanders offseason and what we're hearing from around the league. Any opening comments there, Large Sarge?
Well, it's already busy. There's so many rumors on the mill. You'd think the Commanders are hiring everyone out there. There's so many rumors. It's hard to ferret through all the rumor mill stuff, which is probably exactly what you and I talked about before we did our show tonight, that 90% of what we hear ain't going to be true at all.
That's right. I mean, but one thing about football is 365, right? And so we want you to stay tuned with us every single week because, you know, that's just the way it is. Football does not sleep. As soon as the last piece of confetti falls after the Super Bowl, there are already teams trying to figure out what they're going to do for next year and building for next year. Because you have one team who lifts the Lombardi trophy, 31 teams that do not. And even the one who lifts the Lombardi trophy has to figure out how they're going to hold their team together for the next year.
I have an interesting bit of news from the Super Bowl champion Eagles that you'll find funny on that to back up your point. Who's the best receiver on the Eagles?
A.J. Brown.
And you know what his comment was?
What's that?
Gee whiz, I thought the high would last a lot longer. He's already going like, this isn't lasting nearly as long as I thought it would. I'm already done with it. I'm ready to go play.
That's it. The high lasts. Like they pretty much say, you know, a lot of wins you celebrate for 24 hours. For the Super Bowl, yeah, it might last 2 or 3 days, and then like the team's already talking like who's staying, who's going, and we're rebuilding, and better not stop working out.
It's like he got off his high pretty quick.
That's it. And the city might throw a parade. I don't know what they did in Philadelphia because I heard it was half on fire.
It was a Philly parade. It was a typical Philly parade. That's all I'm going to say. God bless.
Extremely dangerous. A lot of people getting arrested. A lot of damage done to the city. It's not a good thing. A lot of times there's certain cities where it's just not good to win. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to talk about some key NFL updates. Again, if you're out there, please put your comments in the comment section. Please chime in. Let us know who you are. We would love to hear from you. But the NFL key dates that we have, like right now, Large Sarge, teams can re-sign their current players. Now, don't expect that to happen right away because even though they're allowed to re-sign right now, teams typically wait. You know why they might do that?
No, why? Why is that, Coach?
Because a lot of things can happen between now and March. And so you never know if a player is going to get in trouble.
Yep. If
they just kind of start slacking off and they get out of shape. There's a lot of things that you can do. You want to kind of also want to see who's in the free agency wire, compare them to yours. So you don't want to sign guys too quick. So typically what they'll do is they'll evaluate all their own players, and then they'll start evaluating players from around the league. And then they'll start putting together lists. So unless they're sure about a player, they won't necessarily re-sign them. But it's kind of like, they're not necessarily in a hurry. So don't be surprised. But I will tell you, mid-March is going to come very fast. We're a month out. So give it about 2 weeks. And around the 1st of March, teams are going to get serious about re-signing their own players before free agency hits.
Hey, Coach. Jeff Fitz is on. Jeff, we appreciate you so much, man. And he's like,
hey, Jeff.
He was very disappointed in the language the Eagles used during the celebration speech. And I didn't hear it because they're our rivals. I wasn't paying attention. Give us a clue what was said without.
Yeah.
We got a family-friendly channel there, Jeff, so you don't get too graphic, but give us kind of a clue what was said there, all right, in a comments block.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that is too. I wasn't paying attention to the Eagles either.
I gotta go look it up.
I got to look it up too, because I focus on the Commanders. I focus on teams in our division to a certain point, but I was not about to celebrate with them. And stick around to listen to what they had to say.
So, Coach, to your first point, the Commanders have already signed 3 people to futures deals.
Yeah, that's typically normal. Futures deals are players that were either rookies or undrafted free agents that don't follow the normal free agency rules. You can sign them at this period, and sometimes they're your own players that were on your practice squad or other people's practice squads, and you can sign them to what's called futures deal. That means if you make the team, we'll agree to a certain terms and condition to you, but they're usually predominantly camp bodies and are really fighting for a roster spot or fighting for a practice squad spot as they continue to develop. All these are developmental players, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So,
all right.
On that note, I have a wacky one which you're gonna love because we've been tracking it. You're gonna love this one. Do you remember who we called out of the AFPP league last year? Luis Reefs
Maven.
Guess who he's on the active roster with?
The Jaguars.
The Jags. We were right. He's gonna be a player.
So it is the offseason. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But so he makes the Jags 90-person roster. And what we want to do is, because he was our IPPP player of last year to watch, I think he might be our IPP player again this year. We can't not stop watching him, right? So we're going to continue to root for him. Last year it was with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he didn't make the squad, and he ended up making the practice squad, and then he got cut. And then the Jags signed him to their practice squad. So we're going to root for him. If you're good with that, Lord Sarge.
I'm totally good, but I just wish we'd have signed him. The Commanders need him.
I love
teams. We need a guy that can catch and do kick returns and pump
returns. You know what I really like about him is not the special teams play like they're using him. I actually think he would make a great fullback using his rugby skills.
Oh,
and I would love for the Commanders to have a freaking fullback.
Oh, he's a smash mouth kind of guy. Yeah.
He is.
Oh, he's a little light for fullback though, huh?
No, he's not.
He's not?
No.
What's he like?
I think he would be a phenomenal fullback.
Oh, what a great idea. What a great idea, Coach.
Hey, it kind of happens like that. So, we'll kind of see.
Let me pick up my cell phone and call Adam here. Adam? Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I know it's late. I know you're eating. Listen, I won't take time away from you. Listen, you need to talk to the Jags and get Reese Maven over, okay? As fullback. Coach Mad Mike's all over it. You need to get on this before the rest of the news picks it up, okay? Mashed potatoes. Okay, I understand. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, okay? Thanks, Adam. So he got the word.
Well, you didn't tell Adam Peters I said hi, but anyway.
I didn't. But he knows it came from you.
Yeah, I know he'll watch the show later. So anyway, the rest of the schedule here is, the big thing is February 24th. Believe it or not, man, we are a week away from the NFL Combine. Is that insane?
Crazy.
These coaches do not sleep, man. They are already scouting the players. They're already putting together their scouting reports. They're already trying to figure things out, because before you know it, they're going to be at the NFL Combine, and they're going to be scouting these guys from February 24th through March 3rd. And then before you know it, just 2 weeks later, free agency begins. So, there is no rest for the weary. And what's not on this schedule that most people realize is, after the NFL Combine, pro days start. And so they're back at their schools and they're doing their pro days. And it is a fast train before free agency gets going. There'll be continuously more pro days happening even during and after the initial free agency period. And then the trading period begins on the 12th, which is really the start of the new NFL season is March 12th. And the free agency that began on the 10th, that's when contracts are actually really starting to be signed. And before you know it, the NFL draft is here. Right, and it's going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin this year, baby.
I don't know if we're going to make that one this year. It's cold up there in Green Bay.
Not in April.
It's
It's still cold in April.
Yeah.
It wasn't cold last year in April when we were in
Well,
Detroit.
I mean, even in Detroit, we were pretty warm, weren't we? We were
We were.
sweating in Detroit. So,
You know. So I mean, and Detroit did a great job last year. I'm kind of curious
my
of how
God.
Green Bay will
Best
do
ever.
this year.
Yeah,
So
the best ever. Hats off to Detroit for putting on a great event. Green Bay's going to be awesome, I'm sure. Oh, who's that? Who's that, Coach?
that's Myles Garrett.
Oh,
So one of the things I kind of want to tell everybody is we are going to hear all kinds of names connected to this team, just like there's all kinds of names connected with every team. Myles Garrett's also being connected to the Eagles, which would be scary as anything.
Eagles?
Like the Eagles don't need anything else.
That's on the other side of Sweat. No, wait a minute. Sweat's a free agent.
Sweat's a free agent.
Ooh.
So, but I have a feeling they'll resign him and stuff like that. Like, I just don't want the Eagles to get anything more. Like, I knew the Eagles were going to be as strong as soon as they signed Saquon Barkley this past year. We don't need no more things like that to happen. The Eagles don't need no more help. We want them torn down, and we want to build up.
The Lions wrote off Garrett for whatever reason was the news this week. So he's no longer a consideration for the Lions on one other team. I think it was the Giants or whoever was looking. Both are out. So, like, the only thing left on the table, apparently, is Washington. And the rumor mill up here in Washington, I know you're down in sunny Florida. The rumor mill up here is it's happening. They're going hard.
I will tell you, it's not over until it's over, right? Because the deal with Myles Garrett is it's a trade. It's not a free agent.
Right.
And so we have very limited draft capital. And I like the art of the deal of what Adam Peters has been able to do up to this point, but typically he does not give up the farm for anybody. So it really depends on what is it going to take to get the deal done. And the Browns are already posturing, saying, we're not trading him.
Yeah,
even though Myles Garrett wants out, we're not trading him. Now, that doesn't mean he won't get traded. That just means you need to come to the table with a
they're like, oh, hell no.
You're offer that we can't refuse kind of deal.
And we don't really have a lot to give up.
We don't have a lot to give up. So don't think, even though everybody wants it and everybody's trying to say, oh, this is going to happen, it's not done until ink is on paper.
I'd love to see Myles Garrett and Fowler on the Skins. Oh my God, could you imagine an edge rush like that? That would be pretty.
Problem is, Fowler's a free agent too.
Yeah, they need to sign him. But what is your opinion on that? Are we going to sign him or what? Are they going to keep him? Did he do good enough?
To me, it's mixed reviews. You ask anybody in Washington, they're going to tell you he's a must resigning, right? Because they look at one stat only: sacks. That's not the only stat that you should look at.
True.
Like, that's what fans look at. NFL coaches don't look at just sacks alone. They look at aggregate of all the plays that he was in, all the reps that he has in there, and how he grades out. Because you can grade out 10 amazing sacks, and no team's going to turn down 10 sacks. But how did he grade out on plays that he did not get sacks? Right? And, how did he do against the rush? Were they running his direction and holes were breaking open? And believe me, we're going to judge a lot based on how people grade it out against Saquon Barkley, believe it or not. Because in the 3 times that we faced the Eagles, we gave up 200-plus yards on all 3 games. And we need to, as a defense, be able to counter that. And what I want to know is, how did our players grade out against plays where Saquon Barkley was running the ball? Because that's what you got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so more things like that have got to happen. But, yeah, I would say depending on the deal, depending on how well he graded out, if he's looking to break the bank, that's not going to happen. I will tell you, Dante Fowler is already being connected to a couple of other teams right now. He's being connected to the Dallas Cowboys for one.
Oof.
And he is being connected with another team. It slipped from my mind off the top of my head.
I don't want to lose any players to a division rival.
Right. Neither do I. So, even when we gave up John
Fowler and Sweat be a good combo, do you think?
Say again?
Fowler and Sweat, if we could pick up Sweat from Philly, reduce their team to improve ours, that would be a good combo.
I'm fine with us picking up any defensive end that's a marquee name.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we would re-sign Fowler because Fowler might go for more money than we're willing to pay.
But we can't, Coach, hear me out on this. We can't go with we can't be a Lions team where you got Aiden Hudgens. We can't be a one-trick pony on our ends. We got to have bookends.
Well,
we got rid of.
I will argue we were a zero-trick pony this year.
No,
because Dante Fowler, he got the sacks this year, but I think it was predominantly for inside pressure. And I don't think he graded out real well against the run. So that's my ding on Dante Fowler. Most fans don't see it. They just see sacks, and they're like, oh, my God, he's great. Nope, I don't grade him out that way. The way I looked at him, he did not grade out as high as you would think.
Ooh. I liked his motor, Coach. I liked his motor. He was in on the place he didn't get a sack. He was in. He was putting pressure. I thought his play was outstanding. I think we should keep him. That's my opinion.
All right. Well, tell me what you think here, Lord Sarge. Because you had some
so Coach asked me to go out and get some news today. So I said, Coach, after I get done swimming, after I got to do all the, let me get on the news wire and see what the rumor mill is picking up out there. So there's a couple others I didn't put on because this chart's only so big, but these were the big ones. So out of San Francisco, Deebo Samuel, all that buzz we had last year is back on the table for Deebo. Everything they were talking about last year looks like San Francisco is going to let him go. And it looks like we're a target. I don't know. However, this is what surprised the heck out of me. Other targets that are rumored to be out there that are linked to Adam Peters, liking those players. One is Dre Greenlaw at linebacker, which would be insane for us because we don't know if we're keeping Wagner. And Charvarius Ward at cornerback. And we need cornerback help. Now, are either one of those completely, absolutely stand-up players? No, but they might be very affordable in a trade deal.
Yeah. I am not big personally on making trades with any team with the draft capital the way it sits right now. I think that there's going to be enough free agents out there for us to go for free agents and make bargain deals. I wouldn't be surprised. And correct me if I'm wrong. For those who are watching the show, please give me your comments. I would not be surprised if we don't trade for anybody.
Wow.
That if we just go after free agents in the free agent market and that we go after just draft picks in the draft, our draft class, because we just do not have draft capital to make big trades. So
That's true. We're light.
We're very light.
And I'll show you the future, right? Unless we give away the future, which we don't want to do, right?
Which we don't really want to do. I think we did a very good job bargain shopping last year. And Adam Peters, if you want to know what Adam Peters is going to do, take a look at what he did last year. That's pretty much what he's going to do. And he didn't do any blockbuster trades. Yeah. The only trade he did was during the season when he got Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Everything else he took off of what was free agency.
But that was a very team beneficial trade, right? That was very team beneficial.
It was team friendly.
Yeah.
It was team friendly.
So the next one is Dallas. And apparently Dallas is not going to be able to afford Micah, or at least that's the rumor on the rails. And he could be under consideration. And his ties to good old DQ. It's
true.
It could be.
He's also best friends. Yeah, he's also best friends with Jaden Daniels. Those two hang out a lot. So, but here's the deal about Micah Parsons. And this is why I get excited, but then I have to be reserved about it.
Right.
Because there's a certain part of realism about the NFL that you have to watch out for. Micah Parsons, it has already been signed to return to Dallas this coming year. They exercised the 5th-year option on him. So
I did not know that.
Under contract, right? So he's not a free agent. So again, this is leverage that Dallas played on him in order to lock him in for this coming season. Now, Micah Parsons obviously wants a long-term deal. He's already come out and said he wants to be a Cowboy for life. So, and the team's already said we want to sign him, but to your point, they don't have a lot of money. They already signed Dak Prescott to a making him the most highly paid player in NFL history. And they also signed CeeDee Lamb last year. This team is like barely scraping together money to get their free agents and their re-signed and to put a team together. And they are already, without even re-signing any of their people that have as free agents, they're already over the cap by $2 million.
Yeah,
so they are in financial trouble. So to your point, can they afford a long-term deal with Michael Parsons?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
And would he take a 1-year deal?
No, he won't.
Does he love the boys that much?
So here's the deal. The 1-year deal is already signed. He has been franchise tagged. Dallas will not give him up unless it is a huge blockbuster deal where they can get a bunch of draft picks to fill out their roster on rookie deals because they don't have money.
Like some future number 1 draft picks.
Future number 1s, but even 2s, 3s, 4s, like a combination of packages where they can build a team on rookie deals because they don't have money.
Yeah.
If you're going to give up a guy like Micah Parsons, you want somebody to give up the farm for him.
Yeah.
And what is our likelihood that we would do that? I'm not putting that very high.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
That is just not how Adam Peters, and I'm telling you, Adam Peters, I guarantee you loves him. I guarantee you Dan Quinn and Joe Witt.
About 5 million people in the Washington, D.C. metro area.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels loves him. I get it that everybody loves him, but to think that we're going to trade for him, I mean, it would not even be enough for us to trade our entire draft class. We have to give up
Wagner. You think we ditch Wagner and bring Micah on? We make the play for Micah? No, I don't either.
No.
So, all right. So LA is in a heck of a lot of turmoil. We don't know what the hell's happening with Stafford. There's all kinds of rumor mills. Cooper Kupp looks like he's not going to be affordable. He's injury prone. Looks like they're cutting bait. So that is a little bit of an interesting rumor mill Commanders pick up if we could get Cooper Kupp. Problem is, I hate the deal any way you could get it. He's just too daggum injured.
So I will come with it at a different approach. I actually think he's been very resilient throughout his career. It's just this past year he's been beat up. And a good, solid offseason, players heal up, right? Like I would limit his reps this offseason, let his body just heal. And if he hits free agency, I think he's very, very good option because he's a speedster guy, right? But he's not enough. But he's not enough for Washington because Washington will also need another key guy that's younger that we will want to bring in as well. But if we can land Cooper Kupp, depending on the salary requirements, which I expect them to be high, it could be one of those things that could or could not happen, right? So definitely a good one to look at, though.
So on the wire today, DK Metcalf from Seattle. Rumored to be in the mix, under consideration.
And I would love me some DK Metcalf.
I was like, is that our wide receiver dream? Could it really happen?
I'm telling you, Coach Mad Mike's opinion, and you guys fans put me what you think out there. If I had a choice between Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, or DK Metcalf, I would be going DK Metcalf the entire way.
Really? Because, he's the best fit against Scary Terry, probably, right?
Yes, and he's younger, and he would be able to play opposite from him. And I'm telling you, it would scare the living daylights out of freaking defenses.
Yeah.
You have those two guys out there.
Yeah. Better than – not that I don't mind Deebo. Deebo would be a hell of a threat, but I think DK would be
But Deebo Samuel is another Terry McLaurin, in my opinion. They're the same height. They do the same kinds of stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're almost carbon copy players of eeach other. And I hate to say that about NFL players because they would be hugely offended, right? So Terry McLaurin, don't be hugely offended when you watch the show because but I'm saying that like it's the same kind of type of player. We need something different, right? Metcalf is an extraordinary football player, and he's younger, and he could take the number one and make McLaurin a 1B. you just kind of like that's kind of what I'm looking for.
That could be a 1-2.
He will cost money though.
Yeah.
A
Well,
lot of money.
Jeff is saying Cup is getting old, and Jeff, you're right. Cup is getting old. I don't see us picking him up. And Jack is asking, Coach, and I want to hear your answer. Jack is asking, do we need a big body wide receiver? Well,
yes.
Warren says, hell yes, we do.
Yes. I'm agreeing with that too. So, Jack, absolutely, we need a big kind of target. I'm looking for that guy out there. I even think we kind of tried to look for that guy last year, but it didn't really we never really landed the guy that we were real happy with. But yeah, we need a bigger target. We need more of a type of a possession type of receiver. Unless we work more 2 tight end sets and we get another guy that kind of can do that.
Yeah.
So
I got 2 that didn't make my list. 2 you're going to be very interested to hear about.
Okay.
T. Higgins.
Nice.
He is rumored to be in the mix. Might be available.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And on defense, you ready for this?
Yeah, I want a defensive player. Tell me.
Carlton Davis from the Lions.
Interesting.
Because it doesn't look like the Lions are going to sync him up. Which would be devastating for the Lions. I don't like it. But would it work for the Commanders and the Skins? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we need somebody. I mean, right now, I think we have Sanastrell. We'll go over the lineups of players here in a little bit, but like we need more DBs for sure.
Yep.
All right, so some key notes for the Washington Commanders. We have $75 million in available cap space, which is 3rd most in the NFL. Interesting enough, no, even with that trade deal that we did with the Saints last year for Marshawn Lattimore, and I know Marshawn has a little squiggly line underneath it. That is not a misspelling. He is due to count $18 million against the salary cap for the next 2 years running. Now, because we traded for him, we could actually cut him or release him or trade him or do it, whatever we need to do, and it will cost no cap against us. So we could free up a whole $18 million if we remove him from our roster, whichever way we go about it. And that means we could have over $103 million in available cap space to do all kinds of wonderful things if we did that.
Now, Coach, I know when you were salivating when we got Marshawn, you were salivating. He was going to be what we needed, but he came to us injured. He came to us, past midway in the season, not really read up on the team and the defensive schemes, and his play was at best overly aggressive. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
So aggressive, it was detrimental to the team in some games. Detrimental.
I think he overcompensated.
But do you think this is going back to how you love to play Madden when you're doing franchise mode? Do you cut him and then bring him back on a lesser deal?
No. So, for him, how I would play Lattimore, and I'm not saying that this is how the Commanders are going to do it. You don't make a move on him right now.
Keep quiet.
What you do is you let him sit, right? You let him sit. Mm-hmm. And I would be prepared in this offseason to spend all $75 million that you currently have.
Going to have to if you're signing free agents.
But the reason why I say that is because if you need to cut Lattimore later on or trade him later on, then that means you'll have $18 million available cap space, right? So
you have something to trade, right?
So spend all your $75 million because chances are you're going to get $18 million later on. So you don't have to worry about money right now. You're building a football team that's going to be dominant. I would keep Marshawn Lattimore because it is extremely difficult to find somebody at his talent level. And I know what Shaq's going to say. Shaq would be like, no. He's St. Juice 2.0. No, I think he had a very, very bad season. Like, converting from one season, yeah, he would. Yeah, I mean, I know that's what Shaq would say. He's probably Juice.
Shaq's in the theater going, "Oh my God, it's exactly what I would say."
Yeah, that's exactly what he would say, right? I disagree with that. I think he is an elite caliber corner that you cannot judge last year alone by what he's capable of doing.
That is totally
He
true.
was hurt.
Yeah.
He got traded. He had to learn a scheme. He never gelled. And when he got onto the field, he had no synchronization with the DBs around him, so he didn't trust it. And he was just trying to make plays, and he overcompensated.
Yeah, a lot.
All those things get fixed with coaching. All those things get fixed when you go into the offseason. You're healthier. You have a chance to gel. The playbook starts sinking in. You're not overamped for only playing a few games, and you start off with this team. Remember what the Commanders looked like at the beginning of the year when they weren't gelled. It wasn't good, but as the season went on, this team got better together. He needs that opportunity, and if he has that opportunity, he will be worth the $18 million that we pay him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't develop in the offseason, as the offseason goes along, he can be a pre-June 1 cut, and we'll free up that money, and we can still make a wheel and deal with other teams to be able to get other players.
I think that's great. You sit on him, and that $18 million, you sit on him, see what happens.
It's
Spend your
like
75 and
reserve.
keep that card in your pocket. Yeah, I think that's a great deal.
Yeah.
I think that's smart. That's smart
So
money.
teams right now in the offseason carry 90 players. Currently, right now, the Commanders are sitting at 46 players on the active rosters. That does not count the 17 future contracts that we've signed. So we're currently right now about 63 players, right? And we have 28 current free agents, right? So when you look at those numbers, that puts us well over 90 players if we were to do that. And that doesn't even count our draft picks. This is typical. This is normally what happens with every team around the NFL. Believe me, when you get to that point and you're starting to work onesies and twosies, you kind of got an idea of who your camp bodies are. So if you sign a prominent name, you know who you're going to cut. Mm-hmm. And you can always sign them back later on the practice squad when we get closer towards week 1, right? But we're going to be like evaluating many, many players. Believe me, coaches right now, what are they doing every day when they go to work? They're evaluating players that they currently have on the roster, and they're evaluating players from around the league.
So, Coach, I didn't look into it, but did we cut it? Did we cut Mariota?
Mariota is a free agent. We cut nobody.
We didn't cut anyone yet, right?
We haven't cut anybody. Everybody is a free agent right now that's on there. Now we have this is currently like team re-signing period. So out of the 28 free agents that we have until the beginning of the season, or the beginning of the free agency period, which is back here. I'll show it to you again. How am I not going the right way? But here it is. So right here where it says March 10th.
Yeah, March 10th.
All right, where free agency begins, we have between now and March 10th to re-sign our players. Otherwise, they hit free agency on March 10th. So we have between now and March 10th to re-sign them. Every one of those 28. We have a chance to evaluate them individually and figure out who we're going to sign and who not. What is their market value, how much we're going to offer them. And we do some budgeting, right? So we have an idea of what we're willing to pay per player, how much we're willing to pay in free agency, what's our rookie draft pool going to be, and so we can manage that and fit it all underneath the salary cap. A lot of money, but you got to still be careful with it because you can run out of money real quick too, right? Yeah. So
a couple big deals and you're done, right?
That's right. And believe me, Adam Peters proved himself last year that he is definitely capable of managing a cap really well.
He was a budget meister last year, and got us all the way almost to the dance. So
that's right. So that brings us to the Bleacher Report because Adam Peters was such a bargain shopper last year. Bleacher Report put out, hey, here are some of those players. If you're looking for 8 bargain deals, here's players that you could probably get for a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's our player, Dante Fowler. Now, all these things are conceptually bargain deal players. No agent wants to consider their player a bargain deal player. Believe me, agents are going to make the case that their players should get paid a lot more than what people think they should get paid, right? So it happens, right? So even though that they say these are bargain deals, doesn't mean any of these guys are really going to be a bargain. It's just what we think that they're going to be, right? And Dante Fowler, I mentioned before, like he might be a prime candidate to go to the Detroit Lions or the Dallas Cowboys, what we had said before, right? Either one of those teams would probably take him if it was a bargain deal. You got to remember, Detroit Lions are not going to have a lot of money, and they're looking for somebody across Hutchinson. Dante Fowler would work great in the Lions. You know that, Large Sarge.
I'm praying that he goes, but skins are close to my heart. I think they'd be stupid to let Fowler go. They need to make a deal with him. My personal opinion.
Another one would be the Dallas Cowboys, which we already said is out of money. So they are going to be bargaining shopping, and they're going to have DeMarcus Lawrence hit free agency. Of course, DeMarcus Lawrence is on the plus of 30 side, right? Even though he's fantastic.
He'd be a great one-year sign for us.
He would be a great one-year sign if we wanted to flip Dante Fowler for DeMarcus, DeMarcus Lawrence. But
I'd take Fowler any day of the week. He's young.
And so it's just something
on this list, Coach. On this list, the one that I get excited about possibly coming to the Skins is Onwuzurike from the Lions.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know if he would be a good depth signing because we let Fedarius Mathis go.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I like that idea.
Yeah, it is very interesting, right? The one I'm kind of excited about is Jedrick Wills Jr. from the Browns.
Yeah, he's not bad either.
We need offensive tackle help. And he might be and if we could get him on a bargain deal, he might be something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that brings us to our draft picks. For those of you who are tracking all of that, I did a little bit of research, and you see the bumper sticker thing that I have on here because in that bumper sticker that we are not losing any unrestricted free agents, we are not due to get a single compensatory pick this year. So what you see as the draft picks that are right there is accurate, and I don't see it changing unless we make some trades, which Adam Peters typically doesn't like to do. So this might very much be what we go into the NFL draft with, which is 7 picks, nothing in the 4th or 6th rounds. What do you think about this, Lars Arch?
I think it's a very lean year, and I totally agree. $75 million needs to be spent on a lot of one-year deals.
Yeah.
Whether the re-signs or pickups from other teams. But I think we looked better last year in a lot of ways than we do going into this year, even though we have cap space.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be rough to put a team together. The good news, I think, is that we essentially maintained our coaching staff. The only guy we really lost was Schneider or John Glenn. And we picked up Brian Schneider, who I thought was a great pickup. So I don't see anything wrong with the coaching. So the coaching's the same. But this is pretty thin to address the needs that we have. And so it's really going to come down to us looking at what can we get at 29th, right? Or do we try to make a deal and trade up for something we desperately need, like a offensive tackle or another wide receiver?
So I think it's going to depend on who falls to us. I do not see us trading up at all. We just don't have the capital to do that. We had the opportunity to trade up last year, which I thought we should have done, and we didn't do it.
Yep.
Right. So
you called it, Coach.
Yep. And I don't see us trading up for 29 this year. We're going to get into some mock drafts in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, everybody. We would like to hear your comments because it'll be very interesting to try to predict all the way down to number 29 who might fall to us.
So Jack has got a question, Coach, which I think is a very interesting one.
Okay.
Do we trade back at 29?
That's a very good possibility.
Like give it up to get maybe a couple more second rounders.
Yeah, and I like that, Jack, because again, when we're looking at players, like if the guy that's not there that we want, there's going to be other people that are. It really kind of depends on where players fall at that point. We certainly have the money to pay for another first-round draft pick, but if we can get additional draft capital, believe me, we're wanting to pay rookie deals just like most teams are because that's how you build a football team long-term, which is what we're trying to do. And so you're right. If we could pick up a couple of seconds, a second, third, and a fourth or something like that for that pick, I mean, why not, right? You want to be able to do
that might be the best and highest use of our first-round pick, huh?
It might be, unless we're really excited about somebody who falls to us.
But, I mean, I don't see anything right now.
We'll try to we're going to do projected draft classes. We're going to do our mock drafts, and we're going to do all that, and we'll get into those discussions of who might go our way because it's very, very difficult. Like you got to take the top 25 players off the board that everybody's going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Now you're talking about those ones that are running the risk of falling out of the first round or second round picks who might have like a Xavier Worthy type of combine performance.
Exactly.
Where he all of a sudden is the first round discussion.
Yep.
Because that's exactly what happened with Worthy. Worthy was considered a second, third, and some people even had him as almost a beginning of the fourth round kind of grade. All of a sudden, he went to the combine, ran that 40 time like he did, and all of a sudden shot up into the first round discussion.
And Chiefs went, boop, got him, speedster.
That's right, because the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl the year before and was picking last, and they were not going to pass up on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it was
and it was a great move for them.
Right, and we might grab a player like that just grades out really well, that just falls to us late in the first round. But if not, I like Jack's idea of trading back. Why not pick up more picks?
Yep, and you can't get into that discussion too early because you got to see what the combine's going to give you, right?
That's
you
right.
See how people grade out and look at what your needs are and see who shows up at the combine, who really stands out.
And you got to see who falls on draft day.
Yeah, I think you remember, really correct. I think we give up that first rounder and pick up some depth.
Because if you remember right, this is how we got Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton was originally considered a top 15 pick.
Yeah, and
then he had that injury to his foot, and everybody's just like, "Oh, he's injury prone. We don't know if he'll ever be 100% again." Blah blah blah. And then then he fell to the second round. We drafted him, and I was even scared about it because then we found out he needed surgery on his other foot.
Right.
And we're like, "Oh my goodness, this guy's a wreck." But then as the season went on and he got healthy,
he started playing ball, didn't he? He started playing ball.
And he started showing why he originally was like a top 15 pick, right? Adam Peters knows this, right? So if you have a player who's projected to be like top 10, top 15 player who starts dropping because of an injury, and he gets his medical staff to actually evaluate him, he might go, right? So,
Coach, I know this question is too early to ask. It's too early. I know this, but I have to ask it because you're the coach. So you seem to have like an inside track on how Adam Peters thinks. You seem to have a track on it. You definitely called it last year with him. You were right in step with exactly what he did. So I can't imagine it's changed. His psyche, you got it down. So in this draft, before we get to the combine, what is your opinion on what Adams does? Nothing? He sits before the combine? He sits.
Right now, I say he sits. Now, I do like the idea of Jack of trading back, but it's going to be it really. I've got to evaluate the draft class more, but without really evaluating to see who might fall our way and who might be there early in the second round and that sort of thing. I would say right now, his strategy will be to sit. I don't see a scenario right now where he's going to trade up, even though everybody was just like, "Oh, trade up." I just don't see it.
Depends on our needs. Where are they evaluating who they're going to keep and who they're going to cut loose, right?
Yeah, the beginning of free agency,
right?
Yeah, the beginning of free agency will be the determining factor of whether certain needs get filled or not, right? And we have money to spend. And we will go after value deals as well. And he is very, very strategic and very, very meticulous about how he works it. We saw that from him last year.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You
called it right on the money.
And so I think right now, to answer your question, he sits there, but we'll see how it plays out. We'll refine that as we get closer towards draft day. But right now, going into it a little blind, I say he sits just by his tendencies.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I don't think he does. I don't think he does jack because he didn't have to.
Doesn't have to.
Got money. He's got money in the bank. He can wait and see what comes his way.
All right. So I show you this one here. I want to show the offense because I want to show you our holes. What you see in green there on this particular one is all of our current free agents. Now, we can look and evaluate and sign these before March 10th. But right now, these are our players that we have. A particular note, I want to show you the wide receiver core. The only two wide receivers that we have on contract is Terry McLaurin and Luke Skywalker. A good old guy, Luke McCaffrey from the Force, right? So that's it. everybody else is a pending free agent. And so it's going to be interesting on how we build our wide receiver class.
That is crazy.
The other thing is we only have 2 backup offensive linemen that are free agents. Everybody else is still under contract, but I still think that that's an area where we need to improve. So it'd be interesting to see who gets signed there, right? Like Allegretti, to me, did not grade out very well this year.
Yeah. I think that's on the back end. He's on the backside. I don't think
so. Even though he's under contract, I'd rather him be a backup than a starter now.
Yep.
And then Sam Cosmi, of course, is going to come off of an injury. I really like that we still have Trent Scott under contract. That's wonderful because he did a heck of a job. He started off the year as a tackle. When he came and started filling in for Cosmi at right guard, he was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then both Zach Ertz and John Bates, a tight end, are free agents. So we've got to figure out what we want to do there. And then
you think we drop one and Ben Sinnott moves up?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Ben Sinnott did not impress me going down the stretch. But he'll have his sophomore.
He used a lot. I don't know if that was just how he was showing up in practice or whatever, but they really didn't use him. And I never saw Yankoff. You know how I love my Yankoff. Yankoff.
And we got to figure out what we do about the backup quarterback position because both of our guys are free agents. We know we have Sam Howell that we'll probably bring back, and we'll see what he looks like if he can take the backup job.
You think we'll bring Sam Howell back from Seattle?
Not Sam Howell. I'm sorry. Sam Hartman.
Hartman. Oh, okay. Hartman. Yeah.
Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I misspoke. Notre Dame guy. So we've already got him on his coming off a practice squad 2-year contract. So if he is good to go as a backup player, Hartman, I think, would be great there. And that would be a bargain because Mariota will probably cost a lot more money. But we'll see. And then,
do you think we keep Mariota? That's the big question.
I think so, but I don't think it will be a free agency signing.
Right. It'll come later.
Think his agent. I think there's other quarterback needy teams that his agent will probably want him to test free agency. And I think that there's not a team out there necessarily that will get him a starting gig, even though he performed very well this year.
When his number was called, he did the job.
He did the job, but I don't know if it was enough for people to say, we want you to bring you in as a starter.
No.
So it really depends on if they allow him to compete for the starting position somewhere.
If you had to pick Marcus Mariota or Rodgers, who would you pick for your starter?
You're talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, you'd pick Rodgers before you pick Mariota.
Yeah, you would go. Well, to me, Rodgers is one of those guys that at this point in his particular career, you got to get into his headspace.
That's true, but I'm just saying from a talent perspective, if you had to choose, and they were both available,
everybody picks Rodgers, right, over Mariota. But Rodgers is one of those guys that he could retire if he wants to play. He's also I've heard around the league and what some people say on him, he can be a little bit difficult.
Oh, he's a big baby.
Because, he's a little bit of a baby. He wants things to be his particular way. And he's obviously on the backside of the belt.
I mean, he's earned it, but do you want – that's why the Jets cut him.
I don't go by earning it like a lot of people say. You earn your chance to be in the door, but you still got to perform, right? He's on the backside of that bell curve. He's going to be declining as a player. I think he's already declining.
Yeah, he's lost.
And you got to go, and most teams want to build for the future. Aaron Rodgers would be a gap stop for anybody.
Right. He's a gap stop guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. All right, let's look at defense real quick. So, obviously, Dante Fowler, we talked heavily about him. Do we re-sign him? He's one of those names that, we're going to want to watch, right? If we can sign him to a pretty good deal because he wants to stay here before he hits free agency, it's good. If he hits free agency, he might be gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary because a lot of teams look for edge rushers, right?
Yep.
I think we keep Bobby Wagner for another year.
You think we're going to get him? You think?
I love it so because we want his leadership and he's worked with butt off. He still led the team in tackles. And so
I think he's a keeper. I think we do another 1-year deal with him.
another 1-year deal.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Jeremy
Chin is a keeper.
Chin,
We've got to play for Chin.
Jeremy Chin is going to be a big contract.
Yeah.
He is going to be a long-term deal. If we want to re-sign him, which I would recommend that we do, we need to be prepared to pay this guy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because we're not going to re-sign him to a 1-year deal. He's going to be looking for a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
And so we got to be prepared that that's not going to come cheap, and we need to lock him up. And we don't necessarily want him to hit free agency because then we'll get into a bidding war with somebody.
Yeah.
So
Monogamy, I think, is also a keeper. He was pedestrian. He didn't stand out at all, but he didn't screw up at all. He's like that good B player that you need in there, right? You got to have someone, and I think he filled his role. I think he's a keeper. You know,
I think I might agree with you. It kind of depends on his terms because I think we're going to bring in another corner that's going to be a starting caliber corner. Because right now, as you can look at this, it's kind of like we are really shallow at wide receiver. Well, we're really shallow at corners too. Because if you look at this, you only have Mike Sinistro, and you only have Marshawn Lattimore, and so everybody else is a free agent. So just like wide receivers, you only have 2 guys on the roster. Who you're going to keep, who you're going to let go. I do think that Noah would be a good guy to hold on to. But you got to be prepared not to overspend for him because we're probably going to bring in another starting corner caliber.
I think you're right. What about do you think the juice is loose or do you think we're keeping him in the cup?
No, Juice is gone.
He's gone. Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's gone. I think Juice is gone.
So.
I think Forrest is gone. I think everybody that you see in backup on this list is probably gone. Or they'll at least hit free agency. And if they survive free agency, meaning nobody else signs them, we would entertain probably letting them come back to camp and fight for a roster spot. But it's got to be
fighting for sure, right?
This roster has to be built on fighting for your spot.
Yeah. All right, Jack's got a big question here. I got to get to you.
Yeah.
So, Coach, do you see the team going more defensive in free agency or more offensive heavily in the draft or a mix of both in free agency and draft or more offensive in free agency and defensive in the draft?
So that's a very, very good question.
Great question.
It's a great question.
I agree with Jack's first premise, not the second.
What was his first premise? Because I'm not looking at comments right now.
They're going to go offensive heavy. They're going to give Jaden Daniels the weapons. You watch.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just weapons for offense. I think it's the line.
They're going to count on Jaden Daniels scoring the points.
Yeah, but we want more line help, right? We do want more line help.
Well, but that could also be that they go for offensive line help instead of building the defense up.
Yeah, I think the defense, when you look at Fowler, Wagner, and Chin on this sheet, that's like the real decision points that you got to make.
Yep.
Right? It's not even Noah, right? But like if you got 3
defense wins championships.
Say again?
Yeah, Jeff is saying defense wins championships.
It does. We know that from the Eagles. The Eagles won that Super Bowl because of their defense. And I will tell you, defense always wins championships. And yeah, you kind of want to do that. But I think our defense really boils down to what are we going to do with Dante? What are we going to do with Bobby? What are we going to do with Jeremy? And who else are we going to bring in? Because I will tell you, you want somebody ahead of Armstrong on the other end position, especially when you bring in a guy like, Miles Garrett. And you want to bring in another corner to really bring across from either Sanistrell or Marshawn Lattimore and let the other guy play the nickel. Let Noah be like the 4th corner that you can rotate in.
Yep.
Right. And, so it only takes a couple really solid pieces for defense. And I kind of want to agree with Jack's first premise then that because you're only looking at those few moves and the rest is really depth, that you're going to focus offensively.
They're going to focus offense. I guarantee they're going to focus offense. They're going to give Daniels everything he wants because believe me, they're sitting in the coach's room right now going, what do you need? He's like, well, I need a running game. I'm sick of running. I'm going to get hurt. I need a running game. I need an offensive line to protect me when I'm passing. I'm telling you, you watch.
You're right.
Mark my words, that's where they're going to go.
So let's talk special teams. We won't get into this too heavy, but I really want to talk about punter and kicker.
Oh, yeah.
I think for me, I sign all three of those guys that you say there. Tressway, it's up to him. He's at that age where he could retire, but if he wants to come back, why wouldn't you re-sign him? He spent his whole career in Washington. He doesn't want to play anywhere else.
And he had a great year. So why
would
he
had a great year? He has a great year every year.
Yeah.
So it really is up to Tress. Tress, do you want to come back? We'll resign you. Tress, you don't want to come back? We look somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it boils down to. It's Tress's decision.
It's easy.
And I don't know what Tress wants to do.
He wants to play football and be on a winning team, which he is now.
Yeah.
If they had a crap season like you predicted, no.
It's true. Now, when it comes to Zane and Austin for the kicking position, I believe you resign both of these guys and you let them duke it out and friggin' thing because both of them have earned the right to at least compete for the slot. Yeah. So bring them both back and let them compete. Yeah. And then sign which one you want and let the other one hit the street. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Totally.
Yeah.
They compete. You don't need to go get anyone else. They both did the job. So
they both did the job.
I mean, you could argue, before Seibert got hurt, he was fantastic, and then Gonzalez had a couple janky ones, right? But on the whole, as a unit, the kicking team came through for the Skins. Jeff is saying to his comment about defensemen's championships, he's like, the Ravens won with their defense with Ray Lewis, with Trent Dilfer as the quarterback, and he was like the worst QB ever in a Super Bowl. And I agree.
It's true. Defense does win championships. I agree with Jeff. I 100% agree with that. Going back and look at our defense, though, our defense is not bad. Our defense really turned it around from being near the last in the league of giving up yards 2 years ago to really being, arguably a pretty solid upper tier defense. I don't want to overinflate them. Yeah. I don't want to overinflate them, but arguably a completely turned around defense.
Yeah. They definitely made improvements, didn't they? From the beginning all the way to the end, they made improvements.
And so I wouldn't do radical changes here. I would really look at re-signing Jeremy Chin, Bobby Wagner, figure out what you're going to do with Dante Fowler, and then look at those other couple of pieces, like a Miles Garrett for a solid corner, and then make sure you have good, solid depth, and maybe win the draft. That's where you start continuing to build in the depth area, guys who can mature behind them. Because when I look at some of these guys, obviously Johnny Newton behind Ron Payne, he's really a starting caliber kind of guy. I'm really high on Jordan McGee, who they have as number 3 kind of guy over there. I think he has a chance to really develop a lot. And so there's a couple pieces there, but I didn't see enough from Jean Baptiste to really know what we have in there. And Butler and Reeves are a little bit more experienced kind of guys. So yeah, we got them under contract. We're fine with that, but there's room for youth.
Coach, there's a couple guys in depth that I really like that I think they should also play for. One was Holmes.
Yeah.
The next one was Sheldon Day.
Yeah.
And Clelin Ferrell.
Clelin Ferrell for sure.
Right? I think they should make a play for those guys. I think those guys earned their spots.
But Clelin Ferrell probably won't initially be a re-signing right away. Sheldon Day and Holmes will probably be a very, very late to prior.
We're going to wait, right? They're going to wait. Yeah.
They're going to wait on most of these guys. I will tell you probably one that they would probably look at signing sooner rather than later that's in this backup kind of role might be Michael Walker. But the rest of these guys, if you let them hit the street, they're going to be there for a while. Teams are not going to be rushing out to go get these guys.
Yeah.
You brought up a good point about Sheldon Day. Sheldon Day maybe Holmes.
I think he played his role.
Yeah, but they're not going to go early in free agency.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, we really thank you for participating in the show here today. We love your guys' comments. I agree with Jack. We need speed on those edges. I think we go out and get a guy. I really hope we make a splash at defensive end because I felt like that was one of our weaknesses this season.
Pass rush, yeah.
Yeah, we need a guy that people are afraid of.
We need bookends here, right? We need bookends like we had.
Yeah, well, we let it go, and now we got to rebuild it. But man.
One guy can't do it all because you can defend against it. When you have two out there on the edge, that is tough.
But to me, I didn't consider Dante Fowler being that one. So we're basically starting over on our defensive ends, especially with him being a free agent. If we do bring Dante Fowler, don't think for a second that we don't need another edge rusher. We absolutely do, because we need somebody to continue to let Fowler do what he does to get a sack here and there, but he needs help.
Yeah.
So, I would love Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
I would love to have, any other defensive edge rusher that's out there. Obviously, our good old number 11 from the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't think that that's going to happen. So, but we will see. So Jeff is my sister's husband. So I guess my sister's telling me hi. So hello, Paula out there.
Got family on board. I got
family on the show.
I'll tell you who they are.
And they are not Commanders fans. So, But anyway, hello Paula, hello Jeff. Good to have you all on board. Glad y'all enjoyed the show.
Hey Paula, I met you once.
Yep, you sure
when
did.
I was about 100 pounds lighter, and I was little Sarge, not large Sarge.
You're large Sarge now. Trying to be little Sarge now. All right, guys. Well, this is Football Sight, man. We love you guys, man. You guys hang in there. We are out of here. Peace.
Have a great week.
Yeah.